and today I'm here to discuss the chapter Federalism. The previous time I discussed what is the balance of power between the central government and the state government, and how does it depends in different types. I discussed about the holding together and power and the coming together power. So the balance depend upon the historical context in which the federal government was formed, and for the balance and for the for the existence of a federal government, there has to be mutual trust that each level of the government will abide by its level of agreement and to some rules as well, and there should be an agreement to live between the two levels of the government. So today I'll be telling you about why India is called a federal country. First of all, India is a federal country because all the 7 points of federalism apply to India. Then it is a federal government because the constitution clearly lays the power of both of the levels of the government, and it has provided 3 different lists for the division of power between the levels of the government. So the first list is the union list. The union list contains subjects like foreign affairs, defense affairs, banking, currency, etc. Why this is given to the central government? This is because you need uniform laws throughout the country on these issues. That is why it is given to the union government. Then comes the state list. It contains subjects like commerce, agriculture, irrigation, and police, etc. These are given to the state. Only state can make laws on it, and these are given to the state governments because the state knows the state is easier to handle, and you need laws for each area for this. So that is why it is given to the state government. Then comes the concurrent list. The concurrent list is a list on which both the state governments and the union government makes laws. So these includes things like trade union, adoption, marriage, etc. So these are equally important for the the whole of the country as well as the state. But in the case of a conflict between the state and the center upon a law, the laws made by the center will prevail, and the law made by state at that time will end. Okay. So what is our the other subject, arbitrary subjects? These subjects came into being after the constitution was formed, and the union government has to legislate laws on such issues. For example, computer software, cyber crime, hacking, etc. After that, I will tell you about I've already told you that in a federal government, in a holding together government, the power divided among the independent federal units is unequal. Means some units are more powerful as compared to the others, and some are given less powers. So let us take an example of a very prevalent state, that is Jammu and Kashmir. Many of the provisions of the constitution cannot apply to that state unless approved by that state assembly. Then you can now not buy a house in Kashmir unless and until you are a resident there. So non-resident Indians cannot buy a house in Kashmir, in that area. Then I'm going to tell you about the constituent units that have less power. Those are known as union territories. So union territories are not too big to be made an independent state, nor they can be merged with the existing states. So they do not have the powers of a state, and the union government has certain powers to control these areas, and so these exercise very little power. Today I'm going to tell you the real reason for the success of this type of a government in our country. It was not merely because the constitution clearly laid the power of each level of the government, or because of its provisions. It was also because of the nature of the democratic politics in our country, and that spirit of federalism, respect for diversity, and desire to live together became shared ideals in our country. So this could be seen in 3 things: the formation of linguistic state, the language policy, and the center-state relationships. So let's get started with each of the topics today and now. First, the linguistic states. The boundaries of the existing before the post-independence era, the arrangement of the state was in a different way, and if you now observe the map, it's going to be completely different. So that is what was done. Boundaries of the existing states were changed in order to ensure that the people speaking the same language live in the same states. States were also divided on the basis of other things like culture, tradition, geography, etc. Example of such states are Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, etc. Then it was also seen that if we divide the states like this is gonna lead to disintegrity, because everyone's gonna see, oh, we are own state, we want our own separate country. So it was a fear that this this division of states might lead to disintegration, but totally opposite happened. Dividing of states upon the dividing and redividing the states upon the languages the people speak, upon their culture, upon the geography, actually united our country against the controversies more. It also made the administration very easier. Then we're going to concentrate on another thing, the language policy, which had a lot of hue and cry at that time. Our constitution did not give the status of the official language to any of the languages. Hindi was taken to be the official language, but it was the mother tongue of only 40% of people. So there were many safeguards to protect and foster the other languages. And 21 other languages except Hindi were identified as the scheduled languages. A candidate appearing for a position in the central government can appear in any of these languages for the examination. So, but from 1965, the use of English had to stop for the official purposes, and the use of Hindi as an official language had to begin. But the non-Hindi speakers, they did not wanted this. They opposed this. In Tamil Nadu, this took a very violent form, and our leaders replied to this in the form of a thing that they said that English and Hindi both will be used for the official purposes. Not only Hindi and not only English. Hindi and English both will be used for the official purposes. So there was a flexibility shown in their decision. And moreover, this was many critics said that this was in the favor of the English speaking elite. And even till today, the promotion of Hindi continues to be the official language. But it does not mean that our leaders can impose Hindi on the non-Hindi speakers. This flexibility of decision was shown by our leaders, which oppressed the situation that was there in Sri Lanka. Okay, so what were the central state relationships? It was observed that if there was a reconstruction of the central and the state relationships, then it strengthened the federalism. And a lot about federalism could be gained through these relations. For example, what can we infer in the following situations? If a government is ruling both the center and the state for a long time, it means that the state has not exercised its rights as an autonomous unit. Of course, the center will command the state, and state has the same government, so it will have to listen to the center. Then, if there are different governments at the center and the state, then the center will misuse the constitution to dismiss the state governments that are controlled by their rival parties. So this undermined the spirit of democracy. But from 1980s, this trend was changing. This period saw the rise of communal governments, community governments. So as a result, if each community was producing its own government, none of the governments could get a majority at the Lok Sabha. So the major national parties had to come in a coalition, in an alliance with other parties, even with the small community parties. So this led to a tradition of respecting the autonomy of the state. Because if you see, for example, I am Congress and I have not got a majority at the Lok Sabha, and I am taking, for example, let's take the party Lok Sabha, let's take the party BJP. I am in alliance with BJP, and BJP is at the state. Okay. So if I disrespect the state, the BJP will take its alliance back. As a result, the government will fall. So that is why a new trend was coming up of respecting the this autonomy of the state governments. This trend was was being supported by a majority of decisions at the Supreme Court. This made it difficult for the unitary governments to dismiss the state governments in an arbitrary manner. I hope that you have understood these three topics: the language policy, the linguistic states, and the central state relationships. And if you want to know more about this chapter, you've got to see my other videos as well. Thank you.